A circus is a place where joy usually reigns supreme. Bright lights, vibrant colors, and the sound of laughter echoing through the air. But what if I told you there's a circus that defies this image? A circus that feels more like a graveyard than a place of entertainment. Instead of laughter, there are cries, eerie echoes that send shivers down your spine. People were scared to go there. What happened to that once lively circus? Watch the video until the end to find out, and subscribe to the channel first. My name is James, and I come from a very low-income family background. I didn't have any job at that time. One day, someone I knew vaguely told me that there was a circus set up in a distant area, and suggested that I check it out as I might find work there. Their demeanor seemed odd to me, as if they were joking or trying to mock me, but I was in desperate need of a job in those days, so I paid little attention to their words, and the next day, I arrived at the location they had mentioned. As I arrived at the location, I found myself in a desolate area. There was no one around, and the silence was eerie. The circus, which I had expected to be lively and bustling with activity, looked abandoned and gave off a sinister vibe. As I cautiously stepped inside, the horror of the scene unfolded before my eyes. The once colorful tents were now torn and tattered, their fabric fluttering in the wind like ghostly apparitions. The ground was littered with debris and broken objects, casting long, ominous shadows in the dim light. Everywhere I looked, there were signs of decay and neglect. The rides and attractions lay in ruins, their rusted metal frames looming ominously against the darkened sky. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and a chill ran down my spine as I realized I was completely alone in this forsaken place. Suddenly, I heard a faint sound, like a whisper carried on the wind. My heart pounded in my chest as I strained to listen, but the only response was the echo of my own footsteps on the decrepit ground. I called out, my voice trembling with fear, but there was no answer except for the eerie silence that enveloped me like a shroud. Then, without warning, chaos erupted around me. Objects began to fly through the air as if propelled by an unseen force, and I stepped backward in terror. The broken remnants of the circus came alive, swirling and dancing in a macabre ballet of destruction. I tried to run, but it was as if the very air itself had turned against me, pushing me back with an invisible force. Panic gripped me as I realized that I was trapped in this nightmare with no way out. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the chaos subsided. The objects fell to the ground with a clatter, and the wind died down to a gentle breeze. I stood there, shaking with fear, wondering if what I had just witnessed was real, or merely a figment of my imagination. But one thing was sure. I had to get out of there before whatever malevolent force haunted this place decided to claim me as its next victim. With trembling hands, I turned and fled from the cursed circus, vowing never to return to that accursed place again. I went back to the person who had sent me to that deserted place. I asked him why he had played such a prank on me. He said he was just joking, and that he knew there was nothing there. He explained that years ago, there used to be a circus there, and it was doing really well. A rich builder wanted to buy the land, but the circus owner refused to sell. So the builder got the owner killed and illegally took over the land. But despite all his efforts, he couldn't build anything there. He refused to hire any workers from the circus out of fear, and the land remained barren. People say that the ghost of the circus owner still haunts the place, and even today, you can hear the sounds of the circus at night. It was a few days after that incident when I finally landed a good job. But even now, I can't forget that day. My name is William, and I never imagined I'd find myself in the midst of such horror. It all started when I ventured far from home for reasons I can't quite remember. As night fell, I found myself near an abandoned circus. My car had broken down, leaving me stranded in the silence of the night. Desperate for help, I made my way towards the ominous entrance of the circus, hoping to find someone who could assist me. The air grew thick with an unsettling sense of fear as I stepped inside. The once vibrant colors of the circus tents now seemed shrouded in darkness, casting long, menacing shadows across the empty grounds. Ignoring the creeping sense of dread, I pressed on, determined to find aid. But with every step, the whispers grew louder, and the laughter more chilling, echoing through the lonely corridors. Suddenly, a cold hand gripped my shoulder, freezing me in place. I turned to see a figure cloaked in darkness, its features obscured by the veil of night. My heart was beating fast, and I tried to flee, but it was too late. The sinister presence enveloped me, dragging me deeper into the heart of the circus's twisted labyrinth. Each corner revealed new horrors, each one more terrifying than the last. Ghostly apparitions danced before my eyes, their hollow gazes piercing my soul with unrelenting malice. Finally, I saw a frail tent, its entrance beckoning me with a silent promise of salvation. But as I stepped inside, I realized it was a trap. The tent began to collapse around me, its tattered fabric twisting and contorting into nightmarish shapes. The cacophony of destruction drowned out my screams as the tent folded in on itself, sealing me inside its suffocating embrace. When I struggled to escape the clutches of the haunted circus, it felt like every attempt to flee was thwarted by some malevolent force. Each time I tried to run, something would block my path. A sudden apparition, a door vanishing into thin air, or the chilling echoes of dreadful sounds resonating through the empty corridors. In one harrowing moment, as I neared what appeared to be an exit, the door I was reaching for simply disappeared before my eyes, leaving me trapped in a maze of darkness. Panic surged through me like a tidal wave, and I turned to flee, only to find myself face to face with a ghastly specter, its hollow eyes dull into my very soul. With a scream lodged in my throat, I rushed backward, desperate to escape the ghostly apparition, but no matter which direction I turned, the sinister presence seemed to follow, its silent gaze driving me deeper into the heart of the circus's twisted labyrinth. As I continued to run, the air grew heavy with an oppressive darkness, pressing down on me like a suffocating weight. Whispers surrounded me, their sinister voices taunting and mocking my futile attempts to escape. Then, just when I thought I could take no more, I felt a vice-like grip close around my leg, dragging me to the ground with an unearthly force. I struggled and thrashed, trying desperately to break free from the unseen assailant's grasp, but it was no use. With mounting dread, I realized that I was not alone in this cursed place. Some unseen entity had me in its clutches, and it was determined to drag me down into the depths of its twisted realm. As the grip tightened around me, I summoned every ounce of strength I had left and fought back with all my might. With a primal roar, I wrenched myself free from the unseen assailant's grasp, ignoring the searing pain that shot through my body. Crawling on hands and knees, I fled into the darkness, my heart pounding in my chest like a drumbeat of terror. I could hear the sound of my ragged breaths echoing through the empty corridors, driving me onward in my desperate bid for escape. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I escaped out into the cold night air, gasping for breath as I collapsed onto the ground. The circus loomed behind me, a dark and foreboding silhouette against the moonlit sky. As I lay there, trembling and exhausted, I vowed never to return to that cursed place again. For in the depths of that haunted circus, I'd come face to face with horrors beyond imagining. After numerous attempts, I finally managed to start my car. With a sigh of relief, I drove off, the engine roaring to life. I was excited and grateful while cruising down the road, but my joy was short-lived. The sudden acceleration caused the car to swerve out of control, and before I knew it, I had crashed. Thankfully, my injuries were minor, but I still ended up spending a couple of days in the hospital for observation. During my recovery, my curiosity about the circus and its mysterious aura only grew. I decided to investigate further, asking around the area to see if anyone knew anything about it. That's when I learned a chilling story. Turns out that there was a man who used to work at the circus, performing daring stunts to entertain the crowds. However, despite his protests, the circus owners forced him to attempt a particularly dangerous stunt. Reluctantly, he agreed, fearing the consequences if he refused. As he executed the stunt, tragedy struck. A miscalculation led to his fall from a great height, resulting in his untimely death. People in the area talked behind the owners' backs about how careless they were with the artist's safety. It was a sad reminder of how dangerous the entertainment industry can be, and how terrible things can get when people are greedy and take advantage of others. We hope you liked the stories. Comment below and tell us which one you liked the most. Subscribe to our channel for more of such stories, and press the bell icon for notifications.